42 years ago, a sensational murder took place on the campus of Punjab Agricultural University. This was the murder of Prithipal Singh, a three-time Olympic medalist. So many years have passed, but still no one has been convicted for murder. The case has been forgotten. Now, a sports journalist turned crime investigator for this case, Mr. Sundeep Misra, he has brought out a book, Gunned Down, Murder of an Olympic Champion. And he has traced those days, the life and times of Prithipal, and tried to tell who killed him. Today, in our show, Under Investigation, Crime Show with Jupinderjit, Sundeep Misra ji is our guest. Thank you for coming to the Tribune office for this show, sir, and thank you for writing this book.
Thank you so much.
So my first question is that how difficult was it for a sports journalist to become a crime investigator?
I honestly didn't venture into it. I mean, this is a story that I knew when I was a child. I mean, like in school, and my father had, we used to play a game where he would say, okay, let's name top 10 cricketers today, let's name top 10 football players, you know. So it was something that happened in the evening. And he was also a Scotch lover. So it depended on which part of the Scotch was going in, and, you know, how we talk in the evening normally.
And so please introduce your father.
DP Misra, he was Durga Prasanna Misra, my father. He was a brilliant cricketer. I mean, when I say brilliant, I used to love watching him. He was very stylish.
Okay.
And he used to play a lot of university cricket. He almost made it to the state team, but I think at that point of time, since he came from a very, very pro-academic family, he was forced to get into academics, did a double MA, you know, MA Political Science, MA English from Allahabad University in those times, 60s probably. And then he became a businessman. But my relationship with him was largely on sport. So he was an avid reader, and I used to read the same stuff that he used to read. So it kind of, you know, carries on. And if your house is filled with magazines and newspapers and books, so you kind of tend to also go into that same direction. So one evening we were just sitting, and he said, let's do top 10 hockey players. So we were naming them. Whatever little knowledge I had, of course, he knew more about Roop Singh, Dhyan Chand, Balbir Senior, Udham Singh, you know, all of those players. But when he said Prithipal Singh, I said, I don't know him much. I mean, like, and this is something 78, 79 probably. Okay, so just before we won Moscow.
1980 Moscow.
Yeah. So then he gave me a little bit about Prithipal, his 3 Olympic games, whatever he knew about it, his prowess as a penalty corner hitter at that time, you know. And but what remained with me was always Prithipal Singh, the 3-time Olympic medalist, the 3-time Olympic highest scorer in 3 consecutive Olympic games, you know. Because understand, by then Prithipal was still alive. So it never occurred to me about what's going to happen later. But by 83, when Prithipal got murdered, you read it, and your flashback is again going back to the times when you discussed it with your father, you know, about him as a player. And then slowly, you kind of years roll by, and as luck would have it, I became a journalist, and as luck would have it, I got into hockey as a writer, you know. And then one day, I was just sitting and I was just reading a lot of past stuff on India, 60, 64, 68, 72, 76, you know, 80, 84, all those. And that's the time when I kind of started nurturing that, you know, why is there nothing much on Prithipal Singh? You have so much of talk and conversations and opinions happening on Balbir Senior. You have so much. You actually have nothing on Udham in that matter. Though in my opinion, he was one of the greatest. But you have so much on Roop, Dhyan, you know, all of these players, Leslie Claudius. And slowly over the years, as I got more deeper into the sport, analyzed it, figured it out, spoke to a lot of people abroad, India, wherever I used to travel, then I thought maybe it's time to write something about it. Because the murder intrigued me, number one. His play also was sensational at that time, you know, to play 3 Olympic games, win 3 medals and be top scorer was something unheard of. Even now it is unheard of. Today you win an Olympic bronze medal and you are like all over the place. I mean, the first place you go is Prime Minister Modi's house. At that time there was nothing like that. So after 3 Olympic medals, you still don't get a mention in true legend status. That was mysterious for me a lot.
And so before I came to the big question that who killed Prithipal, I'm sure a lot of our viewers have tuned in just to know who killed Prithipal. And but how will you describe Prithipal Singh? Did you meet him ever, or if you have not met him, then how? What is the picture which you have made during the research of this book?
I never met him, unfortunately. Met a whole lot of people. But whatever little research I did through newspapers of that particular era, and I'm speaking about 55, 56, even when he was in the university, 58, 59, 59 when he had a breakthrough year while playing national hockey into university.
Okay, just take us through his sports career so that.
So he probably got, I think, introduced in 1955 to the game, and that's when he started playing. He got into the PAU at that time. Played for university, played Punjab University, went into university, became highest scorer at the inter universities at that time. Right. The big opportunity for him came because of his penalty corner prowess, which was at that time they used to say that if Prithipal hits the ball, then you better be careful, because and those times, the pads were not what they were today. So even the goalkeeper used to limp out after getting a hit on the shin pads. And defenders used to kind of move out because the hit was so powerful. Nobody wants to get injured.
Dynamite.
Yeah, and he was tall, he was powerful, he was one of those guys who was very silent. So there was an aura around him. You have players who joke, who kind of, are part of the humor club of a team, and they don't become very, they don't have that aura. They may be great players, but for him, for a lot of people, he was the man with the aura. And when he hit 60, I think by the time the world also saw him in 60 Olympics, when we won a silver, we lost a final for the first time to Pakistan. The first Olympic final India lost. Leslie was the captain. Then his real journey started. 60, as I describe in the book, was in a way a watershed moment for him personally, because he did believe that his house, his whole farm, his childhood was all uprooted because there was something called the creation of Pakistan.
The partition.
And he wanted, I wouldn't say revenge, but he wanted that through a gold medal, there would be some redemption of sorts for him as a person, as a player, even as an individual. That didn't happen, and probably those shadows remained throughout his life somehow. 64, he won a gold medal when we beat Pakistan again in the final. It was a great moment. But I think the 60, sometimes some things linger on in your life. And I think the things that linger on with Prithipal were the ones that became or created a very different cult personality, which came after he had finished his playing career, which was the moment when actually he became something he should not have become, which is, I wouldn't say violent person, because there was nothing in that, but he became a man with a lot of angst inside him. He became something like, that he was constantly boiling over. There was frustration inside
Something
him.
was simmering inside him.
Yeah.
So, sir, after 68 Olympics, he joined PAU, Ludhiana, Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana. And as your book says, he was the Dean Students Welfare. So, did the problem start immediately, or like when he was murdered in May 1983? So, when did the problem started?
Problems actually started somewhere, let's say, around 78, 79.
Okay.
When Prithipal was the kind of a person, so either if you played sport and you played good, you were in his books. You were in the right pages on the books that he wanted you to be. But if you are interested in student politics, if you are interested in all of that, then he was not your kind of person, And that is where I think a lot of divisions happened in the university politics at that time. Prithipal Singh Randhawa's rise as a student leader also happened.
At the same time, his
At the
namesake.
Yeah. And only the surname was there. Prithipal Singh was always Prithipal Singh, even though the family was Chandi. But Prithipal Singh Randhawa was Randhawa the title. But Randhawa was one of those great orators, was a great student leader, if you can call a student leader as great also. And the clash and all of that, personality clashes started happening. He didn't want student politics on PAU. He didn't want anything of that sort. Either you were in the class or you were on the field. Either you were a good student or you were a great sports person. Anything in between was grey for him.
Okay.
So, all of that started happening. Student politics rose dramatically at that time. PSU became a very, very solid outfit.
The Punjab Students
Union. It became popular, it became powerful.
And Randhawa was the
leader of PSU at that time.
So they still remember him, still it is, because Randhawa was also murdered at your books.
Yeah.
So there are still rallies and programs in his memory about the Randhawa's killing.
He also became a cult figure.
Yeah, he still is. Yeah.
And the murder also became, or made him probably slightly larger than life, where people actually believed that, Prithipal Singh was responsible also because the clashes were happening. So maybe he instigated a lot of people to
when was Randhawa killed and how? Then we come to Prithipal Singh.
Randhawa was kidnapped at that time. It's slightly blurry also because there are 2 or 3 versions appearing. Police cases or whatever were filed, he was taken away in an ambassador car.
And this happened when?
79.
1979.
And they bundled him into the car. Few say that he got suffocated.
From the PAU campus?
No, from his house.
In Ludhiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was at someone's house when he was bundled in and he was taken and kidnapped. They say that there was suffocation. Some say that he was killed. He was beaten up and killed. So there are versions of that happening at that point of time. But most of the accusations fell on Prithipal Singh. And that because you were against a particular student leader, you were against a particular person, so all of that kind of took it to a point where it boiled over and he got killed. In my research, in whatever people I spoke to, all of that, I really don't believe that Prithipal Singh was capable of killing anyone. Personality clashes even happen today in universities
difference
and colleges.
Opinion.
Yeah, there's difference of opinion everywhere. It is supposed to be good if there's difference of opinion. But I think when you come up against such a powerful student leader, and when you are yourself a very hardliner, as let's say a teacher or a dean of students' welfare, hardlining sometimes against students doesn't work. So in retrospect you can say that. And that carried on till another leader came through called Pyara.
Okay.
Now Pyara was something which was, he was part of the...
And sir, no one was convicted or arrested for Randhawa's murder. No. This happened in 1979. Okay, so then Pyara Singh comes.
Pyara Singh as a student leader rose.
From the Punjab Students
PAU. He was a brilliant student and he was a brilliant sports person. I think the conflict in Prithipal came from there with Pyara. Pyara was also, by the way, part of the 82 Asian Games New Delhi handball team, but as a standby. So making it to the national team as a standby, and I still remember because as a student I had come all the way from Rourkela in Orissa to watch the Asian Games, and the handball team was very, very highly rated. I don't remember Pyara since then, but Pyara only came later on in the research. But the clashes with Pyara also started because Pyara became extremely popular with the students. And he came in place of Randhawa as a student leader.
At that time, terrorism was, picking up very strongly in Punjab. And I remember that 82 Asiads, there was a number of Sikh, personalities were not allowed to go there, and they were sent back from Karnal. So I have some experience because my father, Sardar Gurmukh Singh, he passed away a few years ago. So he was, he did duty at the Asian Games. So he told me a lot of things, and how, there were slogans. So Pyara Singh and Randhawa, they were leaders or they had some kind of Khalistani leanings. We need to differentiate that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if you say that PSU had Khalistani links, I think it would be completely wrong.
It's just my question, sir.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I think there was nothing terrorism linked with Randhawa, Pyara or Prithipal Singh. I think because of the circumstances prevailing at that point of time, it was slightly easier to point it into a different direction. But whatever happened with all these three characters, if you can call three characters, and nothing of that was linked to any kind of terrorism or the movement at all, nothing of that sort. These were personality clashes that was supposed to happen. It happened on the university campus, and one thing leads to the other. You know what happens is when two powerful people come, one has to step back. And sometimes I think you will also believe that the person who is in a more responsible position is the one who should step back. I think Prithipal Singh didn't step back. I think that was, I call it sad, I call it tragic, because of the stature of the man, because of the personality, because of a 3-time Olympic medalist, 1 gold, 1 silver, bronze. A man with that kind of experience of having traveled the world, of having enjoyed those victories, of being at the top of the world, should have understood these situations better. But sadly, it never happened. Pyara's death was linked directly to Prithipal Singh.
And how was he killed, Pyara? And when?
Pyara was in the hostel at the PAU when the skirmishes had already started happening. One was a group that was, one can easily call it, I wouldn't say the Prithipal Singh group, but Prithipal Singh was slightly biased towards them because they were sports persons and all of that. Pyara was, even though he was a sports person, he had slowly had got filtered into the PSU. He had received warnings already. Prithipal had also told the university that there are certain elements in the hostel, in the student community out here who are causing trouble and they need to be rusticated, which was an extreme step at that point of time. Also understand that for Prithipal, it was always an extreme. Prithipal was never middle ground. So for Prithipal, it was that if you are causing problems, then you got to be rusticated. And those are the steps that went really, you know, towards an end which was not required. There was some shootout that had happened in the hostel a month before Prithipal got killed, which let's say May 20th was the day. So a month before that, Pyara was shot dead.
Just a month before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Approximately a month before that, he was shot dead. And there are again different versions. Okay. After the book came out, I got a lot of phone calls that the version that you have is also an official version, that he was shot, that he came into the line of a bullet and the pellets broke from it and entered his body, leading to lead poisoning, and that is why after 4 or 5 days in the hospital, he died. Okay. There's another version which I hope I can put it into the second edition of the book, because you would know it better. Crime stories sometimes, they also evolve. You sometimes get a witness who calls you later and said, "Aise hua tha, waise hua tha." So the other version was that he did take a bullet, but then they dragged him to the hostel lawn where he was begging for his life, Pyara. And he begged that, "Don't kill me. Mainu maaf kar deo tusi."
This is the latest information.
This is the latest information from a lot of people who've been part of the PAU, are in Japan, Bangkok, Australia, Canada, US, people who have all studied there and now go and work outside as scientists and various other organizations in agriculture. So they said that he was taken to the lawn, and while he was begging for his life, they hit him a couple of times at the back of his head and then they shot him. The other version is that the people who shot him also rose to extremely high positions, gaining PhDs, becoming head of departments, professors.
So obviously no one was convicted.
Nothing happened.
Sentenced for.
But
so Randhawa's murder goes like that, and then
Pyara's murder goes like that, and the whole thing was put on Prithipal.
People have become like,
Yeah. And the whole
PhDs
thing was,
means they are professors, and
So a cover up. So a lot of challenges because nobody wants to talk. If it was, I wouldn't say somebody ordinary, any killing, you would agree with me, is not an ordinary killing. A killing is a killing, irrespective of the personality. But Pyara's death was completely linked to Prithipal. That is when, at the Bhog ceremony of Pyara, the students, hardcore PSU, I would say, I think I can easily say hardliners, they said ki within 30 days we will kill Prithipal.
Okay, so yeah, so I read this in your book, but this is also sensational. That means a lot of people knew.
Everybody knew about it. In fact, 3 or 4 days before Prithipal was shot dead, the university is agog with rumors that in 2 days, in 3 days, Prithipal will be killed. I do believe, from whatever little police filings I have read, seen, spoken to, even the police knew that this was about to happen. Even the university knew this was about to happen. Even Prithipal knew that there is something called that they might kill me. Even he got a police protection which was there at his house. There was a police group of an SI and 4 constables who was supposed to be at the administrative block where Prithipal parks his bike, his Enfield. In fact, he was told, take the car, don't take the Enfield. But Prithipal, being Prithipal, stubborn, all of that, he said, ਗੱਡੀ 'ਚ नहीं जाना मैंने. ऐदा कोई बंदा होया नहीं आज तक जेड़ा Prithipal ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰ ਸਕਦਾ. And he took his Enfield and he drove down. And as you would have read, he was parking the bike, one hand on the handle and one hand at the back when you pull the bike over. That's the time when they shot him because they realized uske dono haath were tied up.
So who shot him, sir? How many people were there? I mean, not the who, but how many?
There were 3 because there was one guy who was driving the bike, but he had gone a distance away, let's say 500, 600 meters away. But there were 2 of them, both of them were the faces covered, which is slightly unusual because in the university you don't keep your faces covered.
So, and what was the time of the murder?
Around close to 9 in the morning. So anything from 8:50 to 9 a.m. that's the time when he was shot.
That's the time people are coming to office.
Coming into the block.
There must be witnesses.
There were approximately more than 30 witnesses and none of them said anything. They said we haven't seen anything. There was not a single eyewitness except for the person from the village who had come to Prithipal, which is again surrounded by a lot of mystery.
Yeah, that he's a distant cousin. That seemed a police prop up. That's what I gathered from you. So, sir, 42 years ago this happened, and must have been very difficult for you to go back, talk to these people, research.
No, there were times when you actually gave up. At least 4 or 5 times when you get tired because people don't talk to you. It's very difficult to write a book. It's not fiction. Also, it had also struck me that why am I going for the non-fiction part? I can easily create a fiction around the event and then just say that, this is what happened and this is my version in a fiction form, which happens all the time. Then it's easier to put spokes on the wheel and complete a wheel.
Right.
But this was difficult because then you need hardcore facts.
That's what has made this book so good, sir, being a crime reporter and, as I said earlier, from a sports journalist, you turned into a crime writer, a crime investigator. So because you have, stuck to the facts, that's what makes this book so good. So you were telling how difficult it was.
Yeah, the challenges were from players who didn't want to talk about him as a person, which I couldn't figure out because
players who were with him in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only Charanjit, who was the 64 captain, spoke a little about what Prithipal was. Man who doesn't celebrate after scoring a goal, he's silent, he kind of, celebrates a little, but he's not one of those guys who goes euphoric about a
Take
goal.
off his shirt.
Yeah, nothing of that sort. And even later, even in the university, and everybody said that he was a man who was upright, he was, principled, but he was principled even in areas where he shouldn't have been. He should have seen that this is coming to me. he should have taken, like as I said, he should have taken a step back. But research took me into different corners, took me abroad, took me to Canada, where I met people.
So how many countries did you visit for this book?
Punjab, of course, was the main cradle for this. And then you had the US, where you met a few people. Because understand 77, 78, a lot of people from PAU had gone who understood the politics at that time, just around, in and around Randhawa's death. And after Prithipal Singh's killing, 84, 85, 86, a lot of people went into very, very good organizations across the globe, which mainly the US and Canada, because these were areas where agriculture scientists were very sought after from the PAU. Those are the people who understood him, who knew him, who understood the group at that time, who understood whatever was happening. So I met a few people. When I say a few, I mean I was filtered down to a few people who had told me that we will talk to you, but switch off your phone. And we don't know why you're doing all this. ਇਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈਗਾ, ਹੋ ਗਈ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ. But somehow the couple of people I knew, they kind of convinced them that no, speak to him. He's trying to do something which is a book, trying to figure it out. I always had a hunch, but hunches are not based on facts. I mean, they are more like, it's a gut feel. But you understand it, I think you will agree, when you're a reporter, you tend to kind of filter a lot of stuff, and you understand what is right and what is wrong to a large extent, if not completely. But I knew that a couple of people I met were involved in that particular group, they were involved in the killing, and they gave me information which I knew could only come from people who were linked with the group. But
sorry.
But the main thing was, like, those 2-3 people I normally asked, I said, what if Prithipal comes today? It's been so many years, 40, 42, 41 years, or whatever that time was. They said, we'll shoot him again.
We'll shoot him again?
Yeah. You know what stayed with me in those conversations was that, does hatred last so long?
And just, the campus politics and ego clashes.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was startling, more than the murder itself. For me, it was startling because you don't keep grudges for so long. People forget it in politics, in so many areas of life. You kind of move on. But these people, they were not moving on.
Sir, you also mentioned that Prithipal carried a list of 16 suspects, we would say now. At that time, there were 16 students who had met few days before, and they had a meeting that they will kill him. And that list was found from his pocket. It is like a murder victim carrying the name of the accused in his pocket, and still no one was convicted.
No,
why
nothing.
is that?
Because the doctor who at the CMC who first saw the body, who took him in, this is just before the postmortem, they kind of checked the clothes and all, and they found a list. The list at that time, the doctor had agreed that yes, there was a list. But when court proceedings began and he was called in and everything, he said, I don't know. I think the police is making it up. I never knew of such a list, that there was a list. But the fact is that the list was given to Prithipal 2 days before.
So was this reported somewhere in some newspapers about the list? Or?
The list, as a list, was reported in most newspapers.
Okay.
As a list. The list didn't contain any names. But they said that there was a list which was in Prithipal's trouser pocket, which had the names of all those students which he was going to give it to the university authorities, that these are the people who are after me and please do something about them.
He wanted action against them.
He wanted action. He wanted action on a few students much before, but none of those actions were coming through. And I think that was what frustrated him and made him very, very angry, that he was not used to this life. Even after the book and all, I mean, Pargat very well, and we spoke about all of this. He said, he made a very telling point. He said that, why do we always expect a big player, irrespective of the sport, to be holding something like a position in a university or a policeman or a police officer for that matter, all the hockey players who become DSPs and SPs and all of that. He says the only solution lies that they should not be forced into jobs that they are not able to do. He says if you are a top-notch sports person, you should be in the sport itself. That's where your skills are required. I think he makes a point, because everybody can't be that. Of course, a few go on and make brilliant careers in whatever they do. But imagine Prithipal Singh as coach. You know, the tragedy of him dying at that stage was that almost one generation, or let's say 1.5, 2 generations of future hockey players would never have met him, would never have understood the guile of a penalty corner hitting. And the skill. How much this country lost.
Yeah, because of losing that skill.
Yeah.
So, do you think, like, that's my last question. So, do you think that reopening of the case, as you have advocated in your book, will make some impact now? Is it possible to nail the killers, bring them before the public?
Even if you don't nail the killers, I think there should be a public debate on it as to why this happened, why were certain people quiet over it. I think Punjab as a state, or any state for that matter, when it comes to a personality like this, needs some answers. If the lid is completely closed, then it kind of becomes that, okay, this is the way life goes on. No, that is not the way life goes on.
There has to be value of life.
Yeah, there has to be answers as to why this happened, why was he killed, what was the requirement. There has to be something that the police need to get into. I mean, you constantly hear in so many countries that, you know, cases have been opened after 30 years, 35, 40 years, and they have found solutions to that.
They have, and with the modern evidence. So, what about his family, sir?
He had an adopted daughter, and his wife was there. They're still there.
Right.
But the daughter was very young when he was shot. So, apart from the tragedy in the family, I think what happens is that when you're alone, when there's this young mother with a child who's lost a husband of Prithipal's kind, then you kind of, it's very difficult to fight. If the state and the police and the administration couldn't fight for Prithipal, it is so difficult to expect a family of two, of a young girl and a mother to fight.
I think a lot of onus was on the players who played with him, that they should have cried for justice.
They should have spoken about it, but I think most of the players were quiet. Prithipal was that kind of a personality. He was, you would either love him or hate him. I will never use a word called divisive, because it's a very different word used in different circumstances today. But you have personalities who you love and hate everywhere in the world.
But you don't kill them.
But you don't kill them. You don't celebrate murders like that.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Thank you for writing this book.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming to our office. And so this is Gun Down, story about the murder of an Olympic champion, Prithipal Singh. And Sundeep Misra has done a lot of research, a lot of hard work into this book. Please do read this book. And we hope that his main aim to bring out the truth, he succeeds in that. We also hope that the case is reopened. The government, the hockey players, the hockey federation, and whosoever feels that murder should not go a begging like this, the case should be reopened and the killers are brought before the public. We hope that the second edition of the book brings out more facts and it leads to some logical conclusion. This is Jupinderjit Singh. You were watching Under Investigation Crime Show with Jupinderjit. Please do subscribe to this channel. Please do read the Tribune. Please also subscribe to our other shows. Thank you for watching.